All right, I think we're ready. All right, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. What is up, everybody? Thank you for joining us at the Welcome On Podcast. I'm your host, Fabe Garnet, and joined by co-host Q.
What it do, y'all? What it do?
And in today's episode, we are going to break down the transfer portal additions at the University of South Carolina. The Gamecocks, Q, last week they really went off. People are talking about them. The Gamecocks hit a lot of positions that need, as Shane said they would do. And quite frankly, they lived up to it, man. They lived up to it. So we're gonna break down what that looked like. We're gonna get into it, Q, what the what it looks like for the future. And look, the transfer portal's still open. They're not done yet, as far as I know, and as far as Q knows, they're not done yet. So we're not completely over. But the Gamecocks have added some serious position at need, some pieces, some nice depth pieces, and we will get into that. We will get into that. First things first, Q. Let's start on the offensive line. Obviously, that is the hottest topic of discussion, right? The hottest topic of discussion. Let's go ahead and we're going to talk about that offensive line as the Gamecocks struck big, really big in this one. Obviously, bringing Jacarius Peak, a guy that was a four-star recruit back when he was with NC State in the portal. They list him as a five-star guy, the number one offensive tackle in the transfer portal. Jacarius Peak out of NC State, a returning player, helps with obviously a young depth, brings a lot of leadership to the game, right? So you got good stuff there. Seth Smith, we're going to talk about him for Northern Arizona. I really like that get. A lot of leadership with him. He's been playing the game for a long time.
That's a
Hank
fact.
Purvis
That's a
from
fact.
Purdue, right? Carter Miller from UCF. Dane Arnett from Ferris State. That's an interesting one. Emmanuel
Yeah.
Poku from ECU. And I think that's all the guys. So cute. Let's start right off the rip, man. Jacarius Peak. What are your thoughts about getting him into the fold at South Carolina and how Shane did it?
Sharon's pretty quiet with that one. I think that was the one a lot of people didn't really count us in at in the beginning because he was a top portal guy that I knew was going to command a lot of money. But sneakily, Shane got word of that early on that he was possibly hitting the portal. And what Shane offered that other teams couldn't offer was you could play in the SEC and you're right here close to where you were before. And he's kind of made himself a little home up there in North Carolina. He was pretty much didn't want to move too far. Texas Tech started out, of course. Texas Tech always is the one you got to go visit to see where the bag is going to start at, because Texas Tech is going to throw some kind of crazy amount of money at you. And then you
Mm-hmm.
had the South Carolina visit, but the South Carolina visit meant a little bit different because for one, Peak knew there was a wide open left tackle spot, wide open. And on top of that, you had a more proven quarterback in Lenore Sellers than you did with Texas Tech or Texas, not Texas Tech, Texas A&M with Marcellus Reed. Because a lot of people don't understand or don't know that was kind of crazy, but Texas A&M was looking at DJ Lagway to come replace Marcel Reed. That was a thing. Now, did they shore that up? Oh yeah, that's not what happened. No, that was a real thing, folks. That was a
Mm-hmm.
legit thing. They were looking at replacing Marcel Reed because they feel like Marcel Reed has had two opportunities to take them to the promised land, and he's failed both times. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I think the the intriguing thing about the situation with Peak is the signing part. Shane really got that ball. You you got Shane to get that ball rolling and get the signature that you needed. And that was the beauty of that situation, honestly. That was the real beauty of that situation. You got the signature you needed, and with us being able to get that signature that we needed, it propelled a lot. It to me, it personally it propelled a lot in my personal opinion. And
Mm-hmm.
Peak was a huge get. Um, when you're thinking along the lines of like the gets that we've gotten, there was two guys I feel like that are tied at the top when it comes to that. It's Peak and it's Scott. Scott to me is just as pivotal as Peak. We'll see in the long run if it's not more. See, genuinely because you needed to shore up your nickel spot, and he literally is a certified SEC caliber. Has started in the SEC, has played against the best of the best, player in Scott and has produced. So I would go with that. I'd venture on that.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. And yeah, Peak brings a nice set of athleticism to his game too, and that's what you need in the SEC. Obviously, you need to be prepared what the SEC is going to throw at you. I mean, you got the Dylan Stewarts of the world out there that could, obviously not Dylan Stewart himself, but you got molds like him, you know, and you have to be prepared to take that on. You know, have to be prepared to take that on. So I love the Gifford Shakari's Peak. I think that's your star of the transfer portal class. And no matter how you slice it up, he would have to be. Looking at, let's say you got him at left tackle, right? Kind of thinking about where things could go. You look at Seth Smith coming in, man, and that's a guy that's played, guard, tackle. I like him in maybe left guard spot, but he brings a lot of leadership, to the team. A lot of play. I mean, a lot of snaps to the game, man. A lot of snaps to the game. A lot of people and people have made that comment. He's coming from northern Arizona. Can he make that? Can he make that adjustment? I mean, obviously you don't know, right? Because of what happened, what we saw this past year from these guys that came in last year in the portal, and I understand that. But at the same time, you can look at guys like Torricelli Simpkins that came from North Carolina A&T that filled in perfectly, did his job, plays for the Saints now, starts on Sundays. You know what I mean? So you got a nice guy with that. Carter Miller, I love that kid. I
I
love the
think
kid
that
with
was
Carter
huge.
Miller.
That was
Yes.
huge. That was huge. I mean, you pretty much got a solidified center
Yes.
that has
That's your
played
center.
big time ball and is ready to play. Like you got a lot of power four experience that has come in and you've put on that offensive line, and that's been the major key in my personal opinion.
Hmm.
Uh, with the mixture of once again some G5 experience that's played against power four with um was Emmanuel, right? It's
Yeah.
Emmanuel is his name, Emmanuel
Hmm.
Puku
Yep.
out
Puka.
of
Yep.
ECU, who my cousin raved about, man. My cousin, who I was in there with him day in and day out. He said the
Hmm.
guy doesn't play any games. He's certified draft pick. Like he literally is a leader on this team, and he's gonna come in and solidify a guard spot. So to me, you've done enough. I hate losing Shivers. That hurt. I'm a huge
Yeah.
Shivers fan.
Yeah.
Anyone that knows me knows I was another guy I was a huge fan of. I felt like his body type fit what Clements wants in a offensive tackle going forward. And I wish he had more experience because I feel like the confidence would have been there for him to compete and get that possible starting right tackle position in the fold, because I feel like you need Shed at that left guard. Him and Peak working together at that left side really, really solidifies that left side. And with Puku, I think that would help on the right side with his leadership and what he wants. And so I'm just curious, man. I mean, we've done a good job in the portal. Like you have a top 15 class in the portal, like pound for pound,
Hmm.
with what you've brought in talent wise and what you've been able to do. And so now you just look at it like, how do we fill the rest of the holes? You really just need a tight end. I would say I would take two more O linemen just for bodies to help long run. See if you got some multi-year guys that you could grab. I would do that. I would get one more corner or nickel situation. I mean, I would, just for competitive reasons. I think we have plenty of talent there, but you just go get another guy, bodies and competitive reasons. Um,
Yeah.
I'll be the first to say I love the D line room right now, both edge
Hmm.
and D tackle. I'm a I'm a huge fan. I mean, maybe there's someone later on that comes on in the fold, um, before we kick off, springtime, spring practice and stuff. But I'm a fan. I
Yeah.
can't sit here and lie. I'm a huge fan of what's going on.
Yeah. It's yeah. Like I said, we've done a lot of work, man, and we'll take a look at the special teams. Before we do that, I also want to shout out with Dane Arnett too for Ferris State. Obviously, he helped Trinidad Chambliss do the thing, man. And you can't say enough about that. So we'll see what that looks like. It brings a depth piece, there
Hmm.
as well. You need it. Let's go to special teams. Upton Belafont from Texas Tech. obviously people didn't see too much from him last year at Texas Tech, but when he was with Pete Limbo, which by the way, yes, he was with Pete Limbo, his career statistics is 24 for 27. 24 for 27, and I believe he's 1 for 2 behind the 50-yard line, which his longest is 51. But 40 between 40 to 50, I want to say he's like 7 for 8 or something like that. So I mean, I would take that. I would gladly take that. I would gladly take that.
I mean, it creates comp.
It absolutely does.
If anything else, it does create comp, and you don't want
It
to
does.
mess up any legs. You can have some fresh legs. You can do what you need to do there. We brought in a long snapper, a guy from Western Carolina.
Yep,
Thought that
Emmett
was
Rhodes.
huge.
Yep.
I think that's huge. Continue to create the depth, all those different things. I think
Hmm.
those are important assets to a team. Special teams matter, and I feel like we did a piss poor job last year at special teams. A very piss poor job as a special teams team last year,
Yes.
and honestly, this is the second year in a row special teams has looked kind of mediocre. I mean, outside of Akari Swain's punt returns, and I think you
Uh,
know, I think oh my god, the kid's name's blanking on me. The punter, um, not Kai Kroger. Kai did
so
good
I
the year
love.
before that. Yes, Mason Love did an excellent job last year.
Mhm.
But as far as like when points are needed, I think that was the issue. And I mean, that's 2 years in a row. I feel like, I mean, last year, I would say 2024 it cost us way more than it did 2025 because I mean, you win the LSU game if you do what you need to do. You win the Alabama game if you do what you need to do,
Yeah.
special teams wise. Which that's where I felt like it showed the biggest issues. But shoring those things up, having a guy that's certified has kicked in a game a 50 something yarder, that helps out a lot. And so I'm intrigued to see how that plays out.
Yeah, no, let's take it to the running back room. Obviously, people were begging and pleading for South Carolina to get some pieces in there, some gadget pieces or something going. And South Carolina did just that. Obviously, you get your returning guys back, but Jabri Coleman from Penn State, a true redshirt freshman, by the way, true redshirt freshman from Penn State. Profiles a short yardage guy, downhill compliment. I would not consider him as a gadget piece. He's out there preserving the health of the running back room, and I love to get. I love to get. Then you look at Sam Dixon from Ohio State. He
Mm-hmm.
adds insurance to the
Fast,
running back room. Spat. He's very
fast.
quick, and he's got a great special teams value. So I really like what we got from those two. Q, speak on what you think about bringing those guys into the program.
I mean, you just got to. It's like we haven't had any high schoolers, and that's the issue. We haven't had any high school backs come in, and you got two guys that are essentially that. And so you just, I mean, you brought some good depth in, and with what we needed to upgrade that room. Matthew Fuller is going to be a certified back. He's running back one, in my opinion. Him and Howell make a good combo. And I think those guys can come behind and spell them some. I mean, I think Dixon's a third down back. He's a good third down back that can hit the hole, hit some home runs. I mean, special teams can also play a role in what he does. Everything everything is open for that. And I think that's huge. You needed somebody that can spell Vakari Swain that can make some things happen on special teams. And I think we were missing that last year. I think we were really, really, really missing that a lot last year. And so I think that's something that we definitely shored up. So I'm happy about those two guys, and especially if we're still looking in that room. I think Drayton deserves to continue to look and see what he needs to make that room what it needs to be. And I agree. You keep putting good backs back there, and you keep going from that point.
Yeah, yeah, likewise. I do. Yeah, absolutely. Um, yeah, absolutely, man. Looking at the wide receiver room, obviously we already talked about Jaden Gibson. I mean, that's a guy that he can immediately make an impact. He stays healthy. Q. We've already talked about that. Nitro Tuggle, that's a Gamecock now. We were kind of talking about between South Carolina and Vanderbilt. Ultimately, picks the Gamecocks. Look, I love him as a slot guy. I mean, that is my slot guy all day long, every day of the week. I'm just going to say it how it is. A great get, in my opinion, though, man, to get him out of Purdue. He would average, over 500 yards or so. I mean,
Hmm.
I would say he's your replacement for Vandrevious Jacobs. I mean, really. So I love
He's
that get. What are your
productive.
thoughts about Tuggle?
He's productive, man. He was productive on a piss poor Purdue team.
Hmm.
We actually got two productive guys from Purdue that were the production of Purdue.
Yeah.
When you talk O lineman, um, and you're talking freaking wide receiver, Nitro was that for them. And now he doesn't have to be the main guy that they're doubling, that they're doing anything with. He can kind of run freely now with a quarterback in Lenoris. I mean, this could work out real well, man. This could work out real well. This is another threat and a guy that understands the SEC as well. In Nitro, that he started his career at Georgia. So, like I said, I felt like the receiver room wasn't one we had to do anything in. I still stand by that situation. These are luxury situations where you just kind of bring some people in because we have talent there. You just have to, and this is goes back to what I've said before. It's everything's about proving it.
Yeah.
You can't. The transfer portal can't be your end all be all every year. It's you got to have prove it. That's why you bring guys in. That's why you develop them.
Absolutely. I mean, one guy on offense, he's not in the fold yet, but there's some South Carolina's heavily looking at. And that's Malachi Marshall, the number one JUCO in the nation, national champion from Rock Hill, South Carolina. By the way, I'd like to see what happens with that. I'm very curious to see, if the Gamecocks ultimately land him. I believe he's got another visit. Maybe I believe it's Florida State, one of those
He's
schools, and
also
then
got Marshall too.
Marshall, and then he's coming back to South Carolina for another visit. So
Hmm.
I'd like to see what happens with that. I like his game. I'll
I
tell you
agree.
that. I mean, it's got a good game. So
I agree.
we'll see what it looks like that. So I mean that wraps up the offensive side of the ball. Now on the defensive side of the ball, I mean Shane and the boys they went crazy on that side too. And let's just start in the trenches right there at the defensive line. Q Kelby Collins from Alabama coming in, rotating, whatever he needs to do. Man, what do you think about Kelby Collins coming on in?
You got your TJ Sanders like guy, a tweener. Can play edge, can play D tackle, can get to the quarterback, and he's got a good first step and all those different things. And you need that on this team. And I mean, it was good to have him get in there. Him and his brother, uh, the other Collins from Arkansas State, who had a really good
Mm-hmm.
redshirt freshman year, who once again adds depth. A lot of these guys reminds me of how we built that 2024 team on defense. And I think a lot of people's expectation is that we were going to get someone like a Cal Kennard, which I don't care. No one says like no one thought Cal Kennard was going to do what he did.
No.
Everyone thinks that everyone's supposed to do that. That's not something that's supposed to happen. Just like with Demetrius Knight, no one thought what Demetrius Knight did was going to happen. It was not known to Gamecock people like that. Like that was not known.
No.
So when you look at that situation, like you got guys that can all play and that have all played and that have all had that experience because all that does is add to that room. Because Dez had a step up year, and I think it's going to be huge for him to step up this next year. Uh, you had you still had Jacavius Dodd, who has immense talent, who can play. Who can play? You have Anthony Addison, who can play. You have Dylan Stewart, of course. You've brought in so much talent on that defensive side. I'm extremely happy. And if we go get another one, that's cool. You can stack that room as high as you need to stack it. And you can't forget what Julian Walker is able to accomplish. I think he turned it on that back half of the senior year and he started playing some real ball.
Yeah.
And and now look at where he's at and look at what he may be able to bring to the table himself,
Yeah.
coming into the season. So you kind of got to look at everything. You got to look at it as a holistic standpoint.
Yeah. We'll discuss Julian Walker here later on in the show. Tommy Waldura Ajayi from Illinois. Q,
It's a,
another
it's a,
interior guy.
reminds me of DeAndre Jules. I feel like if he's able to produce as much as DeAndre was, which I think he get more because DeAndre got hurt a lot of that season, which
Yeah.
I feel like that also played a role too because that was another rotational piece that we could have really used. But he's going to pair well with Torrey Pikes, with Dindy, who are both coming back, have announced they're both coming back with the retention in that room. And then you still got Caleb Williams, you got Christian Ingram, who's going to play big roles this year. Aiden Harris, who's another one like
Mm,
I don't think a lot of people understand, man. Aiden Harris is he's a baller, bro. He's a I gotta win type person, and so I think that
yeah,
room has gotten really good, really fast.
it has. It has. It
With a
really.
lot of early enrollees, that's gonna matter. That early enrollee situation is really gonna matter.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
I, I like that room a lot. I like that room a ton.
I do. I do too. As far as Drew Collins go, man, I love that. He's a change of pace rusher kind of guy. And he's going to play in these situational snaps. That's the thing about it. So you're bringing in
Hmm.
a a strong talent, really, especially from Arkansas State, and I think that development between T. Rob and Clayton is going to be solid. Of course, with Dion too. Now, I
Oh,
mean, I
okay.
think it's going to
I
be
agree.
fantastic.
I want to see what his development situation is like. Like, how does he move Dylan forward? What does he do with a young person like Julian Walker? What does he when he gets his hands on the Collins brothers? What does that look like? Um, I did. What does he do with Jaquavius Dodd? What does he do with
Mm,
those guys? I mean, I think those guys play a pivotal role in this situation, and pairing him with uh Trayvon Robinson, like Trayvon's gonna have that D tackle room. They gonna be good. He's a developer. I told
yeah,
people he's more of a developer than anything else. And with the Illinois guy coming in with who you've brought back with Pikes, because you saw how much Pikes improved over the year. My God, he came on so good at the end of the year, and that's the talent a lot of people, you know, thought that was going to happen when it came to him. It's just all about adjusting. You got to adjust to that SEC life. Ain't no, it's not Georgia Southern no more. And so
no,
I think he did an excellent job, and I think that's going to be key. When I'm looking at this situation, I think a lot of that's going to be key.
yeah, yeah. I could, yeah, and I absolutely do see that with him. And Troy Pikes obviously announced he's already, he's returning to South Carolina. Judge Collier never really put out an official announcement, but today he put on his IG, back for the final year or something like that. So obviously, in that we all knew Judge was returning. I don't know why people even thought of you try to do a portal shop. He's not like that. So, yeah. So the Gamecocks are set in a very good spot right now after all this portal moves, and they've got some things they're still working on. Like I said, we're not quite done with that. So, you know, we will see what that looks like moving forward. We will see what that looks like moving forward. Now, Q, the Gamecocks had multiple guys, 3 guys in total, playing in the Navy All American game this
Bro, it's the
past
Army All
weekend.
American game, bro. We're not doing this,
It's
bro. It's the
not
either
the
you call it the
Army.
All American game or you call it the Army All American game. Put some respect on it, bro.
It's the Navy All American Bowl.
Bro,
Q.
it's not the freaking Navy All American game, bro. And everybody knows it,
Anchors
bro.
away, my boy. Anchors away.
Bro, you have no respect, bro. You have no respect, bro.
Oh, I
So,
don't know. I don't have respect.
nah, bro, you ain't got
Tell
no
me the three.
respect,
Tell
bro.
me the 3 core values, real quick, for the Navy, please.
Dude, I don't know. I'm not in the Navy.
Honor, courage, and commitment. Anyways,
What's that
anyway,
got to do with the
so
Army All American Bowl? I'm trying to understand what does that have to do with the Army All American Bowl.
well, the Army All American Bowls no longer exist. Anyways, so
You're
moving
right,
on.
bro.
The Gamecocks that participated in the Navy All American Bowl in Texas were the following of Sequel Patterson, our wide receiver. That was originally a 27 guy, by the way, that
Hmm.
reclassified to 26. Shutout, had a touchdown in that game. Aiden Harris had a tackle for loss, some other stats too. And then finally, Julian Walker, which, I mean, Julian Walker has moved up like crazy recently. So let's get into it, Q. I mean, obviously, we'll start with Sequel Patterson. He's moved on, man. Like he's gotten into a groove. He's been killing it,
That boy
and
cooked.
now, I mean, he put his whole team on his back last season, right? He really did. Like he absolutely did. He was really the Tristan Lewis of his team last year
He
out there
was.
in that part of the upstate, in the 0-3 part of the upstate. And to see him, obviously perform in this game did not really surprise to anybody.
Yeah,
You
he got a
know,
touchdown. He got a
he did.
touchdown.
He did.
Huh.
He broke a tackle from a 4-star guy for the 27 class, which, like I said, those two are the same age. He was supposed to be 27. He reclassified to 26. We need to keep that in mind. We need to remember that when we talk about guys like that. So I love to get with Sequel Patterson. Can't wait to get on campus, see what our guys can do with it, what Furry can do with it. Really excited to see with that. Aiden Harris. Q, that's if rankings could tell a story, there would not be enough story written about Aiden Harris.
Hey, man.
I think we agree on that.
I'm just glad Ohio State fumbled the ball
Mm.
per usual. I'm just thankful Ohio State continued to fumble all these situations, and now Aiden Harris is on campus with us, so I'm thankful.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thankful,
Mm-hmm.
very thankful. He's going to be a problem, and Julian Walker was a top dog the entire time he was out there. I think when they put out the final rankings, he was like one of the top 10 people in there. He had a sack and a couple tackles for loss. So he reminded me of that drive. I think it was on one drive. He went crazy, kind of like how Dylan did against Virginia Tech. Like
Mm-hmm.
when the game was kind of in the balance, Dylan just kind of like took over. Like he just kind of just like took over a drive and just like destroyed Virginia Tech's offensive line that entire drive, forcing a fourth down, and it just changed the momentum. I think that was right before the Nick Harbor uh, touchdown pass from the Norris. And so, I mean, looking at it, hindsight 2020, you get contributions at least from Aiden and uh, Julian this year. I
Yeah.
think looking at it, they're both early enrollees. Sequel will not be early enrolling because he did come over. Um, so I am I'm intrigued with sequel. Like I really a lot of people ask me about sequel, and I'm intrigued with sequel, and here's why. Sequel has a lot of slot receiver talent. Also has some outside receiver talent. I want to see how his quick steps translate to the next level. Does he show me what Jaden Sellers did? Or does it take him a second to get there? Because Jaden's route running was good once he was healthy.
It
Very
was.
good. And Patterson has the same type of route running. So I'm curious to see how that plays out when he gets here. But I think those guys are going to be major contributors, and I think this is the key to this whole situation. So I read an
Yeah.
article, and I say all this because I want to build up to this. So I read an article, and a lot of it's pointing towards a 16-team playoff this year. But here's the issue: if they don't reach an agreement, it's going to go stay at 12. If you're South Carolina, you want 16. You 110% want 16. No holds bar. You need them extra 4 spots. It's easier, especially with the schedule we have this year. I feel like it's much easier because if you're Shane, you got to get to that number. You know, without shout it out, I need to get to a double digit. I got to figure it out. I got to find a way to get to double digits.
Mm-hmm.
And the way you do it is you do what we talked about, Shane.
That's right.
So
That's right.
we
That's right.
we we so that's where I'm at with it. And he's done it with the class. He's done it. He's done a lot.
That's right. Well, I'll tell you this: it was good to see those three guys out there performing. Because I mean, it's just we've had guys in that game a few times, but I think having three, that's the most we've had in quite a while in one of those games. So
Hmm.
it's a good sign because if you looked at the roster of those teams, Southern Cal had five guys. You've had Alabama had two or three guys. Michigan had two or three guys. I mean, constantly you saw the same P4 teams that had two or three or four, and
Hmm.
that's when it's like okay, we've got something cooking,
That's
and
true.
Shane has done that. I mean, remember this is the highest the blue chip ratio that we've had, the highest percentage blue chip ratio that we've had at South Carolina was this past year in recruiting.
Yep.
Insane.
Yeah.
Insane. By the way, we went 4-8, just to remind everybody that. Just to remind people about that. There are teams that finished better than us that did not finish like that in recruiting. That lost a lot of pieces, by the way.
Like Vanderbilt.
Mm-hmm. Vanderbilt, Florida. I mean, there's a lot of teams out there that you can go down. I mean, there's bowl teams. There's bowl teams out there that finished better in South Carolina that, you know, lost it. So Shane does what he needs to do, man. He's been a hell of a recruiter, and for him to look at these guys in the eye and the transfer portal and everything else that he put together. Look, I don't. I know how you feel about the season. I don't feel great about the season. Q don't feel great about the season. But he made off-season moves and he did them right. You start at the coaching, right? The coaches that he brought in, went into the portal, brought the guys that he needed to bring in.
Right.
And now we're off to a quick start for 27's recruiting class.
Big time. Two DBs that are in the fold, one corner, one safety. Solid guys. And we got some more looking tough about committing early. So I'll be on the lookout for that class too.
I think it should be said, CQ, we need to just talk about the subject because people are going to ask about it. As people have been saying in the comments, over the last few episodes. When it came to Chaz Coleman, South Carolina did everything they needed to do in this one and more. I want people to know this.
Tennessee paid over $2 million for the kid, bro. End of the day, Tennessee paid over $2 million. We were not paying $2 million. He did not have the production behind it. He does not have the production behind it. We are not paying $2 million for that kid. It was not going to happen.
No. Especially,
that's a fact. Let it go.
You look at 27. You look at that defensive line class that's coming in for 27 that we have. We are firmly in the conversation with a lot of heavy hitters. A lot of heavy hitters, by the way.
Yep.
I just got to calm down. Got to calm down. So I'm excited, man. I'm excited to to see what we're bringing in. We're bringing into 27. See what these guys look like. I hate to say it, man. We're only a few months away from what would be the spring game, and I don't see it. I drove by the stadium today, and I'm not seeing a possibility of the spring game happening, and that's not going to be on their priorities. I hate to tell you, it's not a priority to the university.
I ain't mad at it. Hey, man.
Yeah.
Hey, man, do what y'all got to do, man.
Yeah.
Do what y'all got to do.
Now, if it happens, it happens. If it happens, it happens. But I don't see it being a thing. So,
man, we'll see y'all September 5th.
Yeah,
facts. Against Kent State. We'll see you then.
Facts. Man, I wish we could open the proving grounds again, man. God, I miss those days. I miss the proving grounds so much. But in this day and age, your phone, when you take it out there, you take the camera out, it doesn't look like a potato anymore. It doesn't look like you're, recording, mixing shapes and everything and all that. Yeah, that back in the proving grounds days, you couldn't zoom in with the old phones, and you'd have to have a specific camera.
I'm ready for fights during practice. That's what I want.
Oh man, those were crazy.
That's what I want. Them the teams. That's what I want.
Yeah, I tell you, maybe Shay just needs to take him out there one day. The old band practice bring the sleds out, everything else, and get working out over there, and take it back to the old days. So when it gets too hot, guess what? You can't jump in a freezer or whatever they got over there that you can jump into. Or, I know the players can hate me saying this, but it's just facts of reality. Because when I talk to those guys, when I talk to Garcia or Alshon or Stefan or DJ or anybody, JD, these guys are always talking. We didn't have this when we were playing football. We Correct. Didn't have we couldn't just run inside to cool off.
That's true.
It was like straight high school 2-a-days, right? Back then.
Get that water hose.
Mm-hmm. It's just, it's crazy. Crazy how the game has changed. Crazy the game has changed. Keith, before we wrap this thing up, man, I do want to talk about the basketball team. Obviously, the men's side. They fell short against Georgia. They ranked Georgia. But I will say this, if we didn't lose Kreese, I don't know if South Carolina would have ultimately lost that game because I feel like his presence in the interior was doing what he needed to do. And on top of that, Meechie Johnson needs to be Meechie Johnson of old because this chalking up threes, Q, this doing this and doing that. Q, he's
I,
not been.
I told y'all this is what was
He's
going to
not.
happen.
He's not been the guy he needs to be.
This is what happens every time. It never fails. It happened 2 years ago. I mean, I don't know what else everybody wants. This is what happens. Folks just got to step up. We got to make shots, and we got to play better defense. That ball screen, our ball screen defense was atrocious. You got to do
terrible.
better, and that's where a lot of their points came off of, because they needed the ball screens to get that. But we got to do better. Got to hit our free throws, but we got to do better. Meech can't go 1 for 8 from 3. It just can't happen.
Yeah. And I kudos to Mike Sharchops, man. He did everything and more in this one to put this together. And
Eli did a pretty good job too.
Eli Ellis, absolutely too. I mean, he was getting bludgeoned in the face and all that, ultimately. And yeah, the calls weren't good in this game either. It really did feel like at one point it seemed like it was favoring Georgia on some of those calls, especially that flagrant that the kid flopped. But whatever, that's another topic for another day. And then the women's side of things, Q, the Gamecocks get it done, well, against Georgia, right? They got to get it done against Georgia at home by a score 65-43. Medina Okot, once again, the double-double machine, man. The double-double machine. She is something else. And then Sanaya Latson is back. And I know Gamecock fans are happy to see that. She had 9 points in this game. And I say all this because guess what? The number 4 Texas Longhorns come to town Thursday night, fresh off a loss against, LSU. LSU found their first win in the SEC against, of course, it was Texas.
And man, they let the emotions of that game get to them. Texas to beat them.
Yes.
Can't let the emotions of that of LSU. They needed y'all more than y'all needed them. So you should have played to that. But Vic Schaefer crying after it, saying how tough the schedule is and stuff. I mean, that didn't help his case either. So I'm looking forward to Don them putting the belt to him in Colonial Life on Thursday. I'm looking forward to Don them doing that, and especially with the sneaky win they got, that flaky win they got early in the season. Yeah, I'm looking for Don to handle business, and get that dub, and send Texas packing back to Texas.
Absolutely, yeah. That's such pitiful stuff, man. Like, why?
Yeah. I mean, that's Vic Schaefer for you.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it definitely is. Well, Q, I mean, that's really it, man. You got anything else for wrapping up, my guy?
That's it, bro.
Very good. Well, guys, appreciate y'all tuning in to the Welcome On Podcast on YouTube, X, Facebook, all those good places live where you can watch the show live, tune in, contribute to the show. Any questions, you can always throw them in the chat. And if we can see it, we'll answer. Absolutely. You can always, hit us up there. Appreciate y'all listening to the Welcome On Podcast on Apple and Spotify. We can catch every replay of the Welcome On Podcast on the Tuesdays and Fridays of the week. You can catch those episodes then. We would love for you to subscribe, rate, and review the show. That's the only way that we can continue to build this thing up, because that is what we are doing, man. That is what we're doing. Best of Columbia, we're coming for you next in the podcast category. So let it be known. And Q, there's more guests coming up, man. We're going to have more guests here soon as we're getting into a slower part of the season. We need to get that going, and we've got some names already in the works. So tune into that. Guys, we will see you next time.